an entrepreneur.
We've raised the bar.
Learn firsthand from successful business owners and create your own path to success.
I'm going to show you how great I am.
It's time to hit the road to growth with team lead of the Enriquez Group, Realtor Vinny.
Hi, Realtor Growth listeners. Today I have Bradley, owner of BGS Connect Consulting and Design Services. Thank you, Bradley, for being here today.
It's great to be here. Good to meet you.
Yeah, I mean, interesting thing I know we talked about a little bit before we went live was basically how everything's digital these days, technology, and I know it's a different skill set, like you kind of already talked about, and you'll talk about on here. And you're dealing with like Fiverr and these other kind of platforms, right? That are kind of low cost platforms to get the piece across. So I think for people listening, it's going to be intriguing to see kind of how you separate yourself, I guess, from those kind of platforms.
Yeah, there's a big difference, and there's a big difference between using a platform, and we'll jump right into that, using a platform like Fiverr, and there's other ones out there where you want to get a logo for your business, and that's all said and when all said and done, it's not that great for you, because when you're building your brand, you really want to build it with a story. You really want it to connect with your business. When I help companies get branded, and this is beyond just designing their logo, but when I jump into working with a company and trying to help them build a brand, you want to make sure there's a story behind that brand. You really want to make sure that there's a strong reason for just the logo identity and the branding that goes overall. And the branding can be, it's from your stationery to the way you answer your phones. It's how your brochures look. It's how your PowerPoints look, that there's a consistency, a cohesiveness. And it's the story behind your brand. It's why you are a company and what are you serving. And that comes from your mission, vision, and values that you should have set as you go into, opening up a business or having a business. And a majority of companies that are doing successful, they've set their vision, they've set their mission, they've set, where they're heading and what they want to do. And having a seasoned designer, I'm 30 years in this business, and the big thing is I did not go to college to be a graphic designer. I didn't actually go to college. I did a little small college, but I was lucky to have a very successful brother who was a graphic designer, and I just always loved what he did. So I started it's a funny story. I started freelancing for him in his closet in his Dana Point office, after he had left Surfer Magazine as the art director. And I was scanning, and I was moving pictures in Cork Express at the time, and that taught me a lot. And during that time, he was my mentor, and he still is today. I mean, we still work together today. We work quite well together, and I can tell a little bit more about that later. But I worked hard, and I think I naturally just had a design sense in me. But over the years, I was able to grow it and really learn from it, from making mistakes to making successes. And I quickly, as I worked for him, started bringing in clients, and I started doing a lot of outdoor stuff for like Gregory Backpack and Hurley and Quicksilver. And I was lucky enough to get in with those. And those were introductions. Some of those introductions were through my brother. Rainbow Sandals. It was great to work for these surf companies. And my business started to grow and grow. And then around 2000, I opened up an agency called 5-3 Design, and I had a partner. And that went really well for 8 years until the market crashed. And unfortunately, we had a lot in the home improvement area, very nice glass tile companies and the Irvine company. And when all that went, they just kind of shut a lot of that down. So once again, kind of had to like reshuffle and decide, am I going to just keep fighting this beast? I kept one of my employees on for 5 months longer than I should, but because she was such a great designer, and that's just my value of how I work with people. And it was hard just even when I had to let other people go, but the times, that's what it kind of made happen. But after that, I went into working for a direct advertising agency up in Anaheim called Direct Advertising Response. And that was putting me in as the marketing director and creative director of the agency of about 50 people. And I learned a lot and I brought a lot to them. And during these times, I was lucky enough to win awards at Direct Advertising Response, and actually in 5.3 won a lot of awards. And later in my career, I've won other awards for design. But after I worked at DAR we called it DAR. I worked at DAR for like 3 years, maybe 3.5 years. And I was just hungry to go back to working for myself. So with the empowerment of my lovely wife, I went back to consulting just one-on-one. And I decided to not have a brick and mortar, where previously under 5.3 we had, a brick and mortar agency where we had a photo studio and designers, and it was all great. This time I went back as consulting. So from like 2000, I'll get these dates mixed up, 2013 to 2017, I just was bringing in new clients and working it and making a living, paying for my mortgage, and it was good. I did, during this time, started working for a nonprofit on the East Coast called the Ripple Foundation. And I started off doing one project, and they're like, hey, can you give us 5 hours a week? Can you give us 10? And my retainer kept going up until they just said, we really would like you to come and work for us. So around 2018, 2019, I went to work for them as their director of creative and branding. And for 6 years, I worked for Ripple, but I was still keeping BGS alive and working. I kind of let some clients go so I could only focus on the clients that were really, I was able to really kind of still take care of. And that was okay with Ripple. And October of this past year, Ripple decided to get rid of me in a nice way. They laid me off because they wanted to go external with their communications. But I was kind of fighting this going up to it. I really wanted to get my BGS back and going and reviving. And I had some clients who were saying to me, Brad, I really love you to be focused with us again. And so I really feel like it really worked out for me. I always say God has a plan, and I truly feel that is the truth. And not saying once I left Ripple that it was easy and it's been easy and breezy. It was a little bit of a struggle, because at first I said, do I go out and get another job? I mean, what I got to, take care of my family. I mean, I had some client work coming in, but was it enough? And I started looking at the job market, and I was just like amazed at what people who are wanting to hire someone, they want you to do 500 things as a creative director. They want you to be a videographer, a photographer, a social media professional. They want you to be able to be a master of all these things, which is, I get on their standpoint, because it's more bang for your buck. And, I can actually fill a lot of those shoes, but you are also going up against 300 people, 400 people applying for one job. So just to get an interview which is kind of crazy. So quickly I was like reinforced in my head, I really want to get BGS back and cranking. And once I made that focus, things started to fall in line. And I just started using my network. And I think that's one of the most powerful ways to find clients and get clients. And it's just asking people for warm introductions. And I'm still looking for more clients and still looking to grow. I actually have other designers that if I was to get,
let me cut you off, Bradley. That's a long tangent you went off for about 7 minutes, and I was like, I gotta wait till there's a pause.
Yeah.
But all right, let me jump in. I wrote some notes in there. All right, so you said that college, you didn't go to college for basically design. Did you go to college or
no? I went to a little bit of college, but I didn't continue with it because how I kind of jumped into what I do through learning through my brother.
So just college wasn't right for you. You didn't feel like, or you wanted, needed to make money really quick, or what did that look like?
I always was an entrepreneur. Prior to being a designer, I owned a very successful DJ business that had nightclub installations, and I did, was having 9 to 10 jobs a weekend for my DJs, and that was great, but that was really tiring. But I was also kind of doing design on the side, and I had done some other things that were kind of related to design prior to this, so it was kind of a buildup, and I had already learned a lot of the skills, so that's kind of pulled me into it.
Okay, so then you start working with your brother. Was it simply just, I guess, easy avenue, right? You probably have a good connection with your brother. He offered you a job, and you're like, hey, I can make some money, and I like this.
Yeah, it simply said yes, it was. But it was kind of funny because it wasn't long, like within 6 months, I was telling him I was too busy to do his production work because I had getting clients. And I think that was just through the work that I was able to go out and do. But I still helped him, of course. And till this day, him and I help each other. When he's busy or I'm busy, we go in and jump in and we help each other. And actually, while I was at Ripple, I hired him on as a contractor because I knew what I was going to get from him rather than hiring someone right out of college or doing something like that. And it was probably the best part of working at Ripple was getting to work alongside with my brother.
And then you brought up the idea of a partnership, and it seemed like, correct me if I'm wrong, that when you said partnership, you kind of had this like kind of thing. Not a good experience?
Not a bad experience.
Okay.
I don't really want to say anything negative about it. It just, I'm better when I'm running the ship, and, but there was good things that came out of it too. And we had a lot of good work. And it was formed because of my connections and where I was in the industry, and I was growing, and I brought this person on to, help other areas of the business. So good. And, it just didn't work out in the long run, and that's okay. That's part of life.
So we won't say anything about that partnership because it's great. I mean, the people that talk some shit about other people, sometimes they can go off, right? So we're not going to say anything about there. But if someone's like listening to us right now and they're looking to start a partnership, right? Or you're looking to start another partnership in the future, right? Are there key takeaways that they should think about, or you would think about in that partnership to make it as smooth as possible?
I would say just really be aligned on what your roles are and what your capabilities are. And I think that would be the strongest thing. And just make sure you have a good relationship and kind of set some boundaries around it. I think that's probably the biggest advice. Set boundaries around it and have a partnership that you can support and get behind. And I'm not saying I would never not take on a partner. Did I say that right? I would not take on a partner. There could be a situation where I'd be like, yeah, let's do this because I know that that's going to work.
Gotcha. Yeah. I mean, and you said, right, you want to make sure that the value, each person brings their own values to that partnership that makes it a successful situation, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And that person went on to do great things on their own. And that is good. I just, really nothing negative. I don't really want to, definitely nothing negative. It just didn't work out in the right way. And some of that was just because of the economy too, just because of the whole crash of 2008. That was, 2007, 2008, that was just a devastating time for everybody. That was just across the board, any area. So it's a bad time. The business is not going well. Was it simply just reaching out, like you said, to contacts or people you knew, or just applying at a bunch of places to get that job in 2008, or how did that come about? No, sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. No, they were we were doing work with them. And when they knew that I had dissolved 5-3, they said, come work for us. So, it was kind of just made to happen. And through that, we did some really great stuff, and we had some really great clients, and was fun. We had a suite at the Honda Center, and that was really great. Saw many great performances and hockey games, but entertained a lot of clients, and that was a good experience. But again, I got that inner feeling. I've always been an entrepreneur. I've always been someone who wants to make my own future. So luckily I have a wife that, my wife Yvette, she's just super supportive.
Well, so in that 2008, where they love what you did and they brought you on, was there any like feeling of like failing, like you started this company and it just didn't work out, or was it simply like, you know what, I know I have to restart, I'm gonna be an entrepreneur again, it's just basically to hold me over? What was that mindset at that time? Do you remember?
You know what, honestly, being really transparent, yeah, I mean, it was just, but everyone was feeling crushed at that time. You know, it just was a feeling. And like, honestly, I felt blessed. Like that Dar really wanted me to come on board with them. I mean, I felt like that was a blessing. You know, it's like where a lot of people struggled for a long time. And, you know, I thought about it. Do I just keep fighting and finding clients? But if you really looked at the market at that time, agencies were struggling. Everybody was struggling because people were afraid to spend money because the market had crashed so much. I mean, there was some places, some people who did succeed and did okay, or they held on enough, but a lot of people really struggled. And it was a bad time. So I just feel like there's a path in life, you know, and you learn from everything. I don't look at any mistakes as things that tore me down. I look at them as ways to learn and rebuild. Sure. Yeah, of course at the moment. Well, that's my dad taught me that. You know, he used to quote Lee Iacocca, and I think this is rough. Lee Iacocca said something like, "You're never going to succeed unless you fail a couple of times." And I don't think that 5.3 was ever a fail. It was just it just closed to circumstances of the economy at that time of the crash. But I took it as, what's my next step, you know? And same with kind of when leaving Ripple, you know, being laid off at Ripple, I felt like I'm being guided to getting back to what I'm really good at. And that is consulting, using my 30 years of experience. And I just sometimes I take things like that, and I'm a glass half full guy. I'm not a glass half empty guy. So I'm always looking to see, where can I take this and how can I improve it, and what are my options? So
what does that process look like? I know for myself, when I get knocked with a bad failure, I go work out, get my mind right, and then try to get back and try to break it down. For you, is it like, okay, I just got laid off? Is it like any kind of like allow yourself to be in the sadness? Or is it simply just like how's it look?
Oh,
like?
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So just jumping back to this past October, at first I felt like it was a relationship I just got broken up with, you know, even though I kind of knew I wanted to move on, you know. And it's nothing bad about them. Ripple was doing what they needed to do for themselves, you know, for that organization. They're a great organization. They're about improving health and well-being for people. They're on the East Coast. I had a great time working with them, but I think that first month was just literally deflated, you know. And then I was sitting there going, no, this is not the way it's going to go. So I just started looking at all options, and of course, looking for another job was one of them. And I kind of went through that earlier, and I just more and more realized that I know what I needed to do. And I'm on that path, you know, and I'm not a millionaire right now, no, but I'm a hardworking and forward-moving person. So luckily, with just the connections that I have and the networking, the clients are building back again, and I'm welcoming more. And I love warm introductions. I love giving warm introductions to people. I love connecting people. So yeah, a little bit of a down, and moments along the path where you start questioning yourself, you know. I would say that whole looking for a job thing can really kind of pull you down a rabbit hole of feeling like, gosh, you know, not one interview, like, I've applied 50 times. Like that first month or the first and second month, I applied to so many jobs, and I was like, this isn't going the way I want to go. But during that time, I was lucky to be asked to be a part of what's called the commsconsultant.com list, and they vet you in. It's a list of vetted professionals, and you just don't get to join. You kind of have to go into like an interview process and get vetted into it. And it's a list of all these comms professionals. So I was really proud to be a part of that, and I am a part of it. And I gain clients through that as well. And Ashley Dennison, who runs that, she's just a great support. So that is a list to hire me as a consultant to help organizations. So some work comes out of that. And then the other is just all my networking and finding work. So like I said, half full. I'm a pretty happy guy, and I love doing great things. I think one of the things I'm blessed with is a work ethic. I can be at home and I know how to work. I know how to relax, but I really know how to work. When the time comes, I get down and get the work done. And if it's too much, I know when to bring on other people.
What have you learned, or how have you grown in the second time of, I guess, restarting your business?
I would say I've learned that I need to know what my worth is. And I've put all these years of experience in, and I know where I fit and what I'm really good at, and owning that. Like, for instance, not that I wouldn't take on a very large company and do work for them. I will totally go in and do projects with them. But where I really feel my kind of specialty is those startups, small to medium-sized companies or organizations where I can go in and help them be bigger than they are or look bigger than they are, instead of them going down the road of just hiring, a green graphic designer because they're the cheapest. It's where I implore clients to hire for the value and the talent, and you're going to get more out of your money. And you're going to get more out of your brand, and you're going to get more out of your sales going through. If let's say you're selling a product or a service, really come off looking as clean as a professional as possible. So
why do you like, and I would assume I can kind of insinuate it, or pick it up, but why do you like small and medium-sized businesses more than big businesses?
Because I see too many small and medium-sized businesses come into the marketplace not properly branded, not properly set up, not with a good vision of where their creative should be. And sadly, a lot of companies, the first thing they cut when times are tough is they cut their marketing and their design back. And those are what drives their sales. So, and also helping them start creating data behind what they do. So, having key performance indicators, KPIs, so they can measure what they're doing. And then we can create vehicles that you can look back and say, hey, that was successful. Or let's just say we're doing an ad and we'll do A/B testing on it so we can see what ad performs the best. So things like that to help them get in that mind frame so that as they grow, they go bigger. And one day they may need a giant agency. They may not need, Bradley Girard. They may need someone bigger. And either I will grow with them and just help bring on people as a team within BGS, or they'll go somewhere else. But if I can get them set on the right path, it's going to help them be better. But I have found by doing this, I've held on to clients for a long time. I have a client, Mandy Lee Collection. I have worked with them since 2010. We're in the midst of doing a revamp on a part of their website right now. I do all of their advertising. They're a great client. Mandy is just an amazing woman who runs this company, and it's a company that builds furniture for hotels, hospitality environments, restaurants on a large scale. A lot of the hotels in Las Vegas alone have furniture that she's built, but throughout the world. literally, she has built furniture for some of the most high-end hotels throughout the world, and I get to work with her and her team, and that's a pleasure. So I just like those, and she would fit in that medium-sized company, although she does big things. And I just really thrive in that area. And it took me a while to own that, because I was like, how big can I get? How big of a client do I want? Do I want, an IBM? Not really, being brought on as a project to help them through a project. Yeah, I could definitely do that, but I'm not looking to grow my agency to be a 300 person agency. I'm 56 years old. I just want to use my expertise as a consultant and also offer design services and marketing services that align with those size companies. So
when you say the business expands to a large business, and maybe you can expand too, right, or grow, what does that look like? What do you see your expansion being in the next 5-10 years?
It would be more along the lines of, if the work is more than this goes anytime. This goes now. If the work goes anything more than I can personally handle, and I do a lot of the work, I can come on as a consultant and just help companies work through what they need to do, or I can do a lot of those services, whether it's design, photography, videography, and I can do those myself, or I see, I think let's say there's a certain level of video that we want to get. I need to bring in the right studio to come and do this video. Then I will do that. I will bring them on as partners and bring them into the mix. And that's how I will kind of expand myself out.
Where do you
we need to grow?
No, for sure. Yeah. I mean, knowing those right people to bring in to help on those bigger jobs. Is there expansion? Like, if we're talking 5 years from now, what do you see the differences from your business being?
Probably more consulting, and I don't know what to say, and bringing in other designers, videographers, photographers in to help serve those needs, and kind of being that as I'm getting older. I'm not planning on retiring at 65. I'm just someone who'll probably be like my dad and work till I'm 75 or 80. My dad was amazing. My dad just passed away at 95, and he worked all the way up till he was 90, running the Trails Foundation for Montecito Trails Foundation. Like, he was amazing that way. I'm lucky to have some mentors in my family, and all my siblings. I have 4 other siblings. They're all just amazing entrepreneurs and good at what they do. My brother Jeff is the oldest brother. He was the designer and still is, and he's my biggest mentor of all, not only as a designer, but as a father. My dad, work ethic, and as a father, great mentor. But even my brother Daniel's a designer, and he does amazing stuff, stage building, all kinds of stuff. My sister was into marketing for many times. My other sister is a chiropractor, all entrepreneurs. It's just the way our family kind of functioned. So
why all in the marketing field, design and marketing field?
Well, it kind of started with Jeff, and then it was me, and my brother Daniel just started doing graphic. He's a musician, a graphic designer. That guy builds timber homes like this. He has a photographic memory. The guy is a brainiac. My sister got into marketing and design stuff because she was interested in it, and we've worked together in the past too. And she's great at what she does. And I don't know, we're just a creative family. Even my sister Val is a chiropractor. She writes books. She does paintings. She does design. We're all just creative in one sort of another. Half of my siblings are musicians. The other halves aren't. I'm on the other half. I'm not a musician, even though I did have a DJ business. I cannot play a piano lick, a guitar lick, or anything of that sort. So,
thank you so much, Bradley, for being here. If people are listening, they're looking to get some consulting work, some design work, what's the best way of them getting more information?
Couple ways. You can go to my website at bgsconnect.com. That's BGS and the word connect.com. You can email me at Bradley, Bradley, at bgsconnect.com. You can find me on LinkedIn. And on my website is even my phone number. Even if you know somebody and they want to introduce me to somebody as a warm introduction, I would love that. I will free consult anyone to start off and just talk about what they're looking for and what their needs are. And if I'm not the right person, I'm that type of person to say, hey, I'm not, but let me help you find the right person. But I got a lot of skills and I can help out. I mean, I really do. And I have always lived on that idea of fake it till you make it in some sort. But I don't do it to where it's going to be damaging to anybody. I only will take on projects that I know I can do, that I can help and make them be successful.
All right. So I'm going to finish off one last question. Have you ever competed against your brother for a job? And would you ever if you haven't?
No, I've never competed against him. We've always worked together. It's just the way him and I are. My brother Jeff is just... And a lot of people in the design world know my brother. He's very known. He's done IMAX movies. He's done books for National Geographic, Surfer Magazine, Surfer's Journal. He's very well known. He is the guy who I just look up to. So no, I would always find a way that we'd either work together. Yeah.
So man, that's pretty good. There's some families all about competition, and some families let's partner up. That's awesome.
I love my family. I'm very blessed, and I'm very blessed. My personal family, my wife Yvette, and my daughter Gabrielle, who's in college at Grand Canyon, and she's killing it. So I'm super happy that she's in college. I told her, I go, you're going to college. You're going to get a degree and a master's in college. I'm going to help you get there. We're going to pay for it. You're going to do the, but
consulting and design work.
No, she's doing physical therapy. She's got a 4.0 GPA. She left high school with a 4.2 GPA. I tell everybody she's smarter than me, hands down. She sent me pictures of her notes that she took for her test last week. And my mind blew. Like, she is so smart, and she's just a sweet young woman.
Well, that's awesome. Thank you again, Bradley, for being here. Any last words of wisdom you want to throw out there?
Believe in yourself. Don't be afraid to go and do what makes you happy. And you know what? It goes along with what I told my daughter looking for a career. I said, you need to love what you do. You need to find a job. It needs to be a career that produces money, and it needs to be something that is economy proof. And I'll make a really long story super short, but the reason why she got into physical therapy, she was an elite volleyball athlete and she got injured. And she had to get physical therapy, and she was like, I want to do this. And she has stuck to it.
That's awesome.
So,
thank you again, Bradley.
You're only as great of a man as the woman that is by your side. My wife is amazing. Awesome. 25 years. We've been together 25 years.
A lot of positivity right there. Thank you, Bradley, for being here. Hopefully everyone got some great information. Please go in the show notes. Please go find Bradley and subscribe and share Road to Growth. Thanks, everyone.